Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, political economist Pat Utomi says what Nigeria needs right now is the revolution of the mind first, before revolution on the streets. And lawyer to Omoyele Sowore, Mr. Femi Falana, has dared the federal government to charge the former AAC presidential candidate to court, something they already did. Former military head of state Ibrahim Babangida says Nigeria is a complex, difficult country to govern, but needs a leader's resilience in the face of divergent opinions. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin this afternoon and perhaps using the word that has caused enormous debate in the Nigerian political landscape in the past days, the term revolution. A professor of political economy, Professor Pat Utomi, has warned that Nigeria needs to urgently put its act together to fix its problems, which may have a larger effect on the continent of Africa. Professor Utomi says Nigerians need a revolution of the mind to change the present state of affairs, where the political class has held back the nation from achieving its potential. Professor Utomi was speaking in Lagos on the sidelines of the presentation ceremony of his new book, Why Not Citizenship? State Capture, Creeping Fascism and Criminal Hijack of Politics in Nigeria.
What's a revolution? We've been calling for national transformation for a long time. What's a national transformation? It is a revolution. Certainly, definitely, if there is anywhere that needs a revolution, it is Nigeria. And that revolution has to be inside of all of us, first of all, before we even do it outside. We've got to change our attitude. We've got to change from this narcissism, this consuming self-love, to thinking common good. We are Africans, and the guiding principle is Ubuntu. I am because we are. Right now, the political class we have in Nigeria, me, myself, I, everything destroyed. That kind of class should not be allowed to continue, or a nation will be ruined. Don't get it together now. The anarchy that is currently afloat will consume us all. And that if we don't get it together, we do grave damage to the dignity of the black man. And my projection is 1,100 years of servitude for the black man if we don't get it together. So the urgency of now is not a joking matter and political games of gladiators. It's about the heart and the soul of a nation.
Another speaker at the event is rights activist and Nigerian lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana, who says the electoral thieves must be dealt with appropriately if Nigeria wishes to move forward. He also spoke to Channels Televisions on the sidelines of the event.
We'll have to organize credible elections. But you can only do that if you fight impunity that takes place before or during the election. But we're not doing that right now. All those who rig elections are walking free. They will also rig elections next time. And that is why we must go in the campaign for the institution of an electoral offences tribunal to deal with those who manipulate the election and who promote upgrade on election. The government has a duty to secure the life and property of everybody. The fact that Nigerians haven't taken up the government, that's why we're in a mess. I mean, God forbid, if you kidnap any of my relations and I have to part with money, if I have to pay ransom, I will collect the money from the government because it's the duty of the government to protect every life in our country. I believe that the governors and the president will have to sit down and ensure that there is security in the country, adequate security factor.
So, in the wake of the dust raised by the hashtag Revolution Now and the street march, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Mr. Secondus, is asking the federal government to release all political prisoners, including the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Mr. Moile Shore, still in detention of the DSS, leading the call for the protest. Mr. Secondus is alleging that this is the first time that a democratically elected government is holding political prisoners and refusing to release them. He was speaking to journalists in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, after a visit to the state governor.
We want to directly ask Mr. President Buhari, to release the political prisoners. It is not done in any political dispensation. What we are saying today is as if we're in the military era. It should quickly and urgently release all political prisoners and allow a democratic atmosphere to strive in a country and where everybody is guaranteed freedom of speech.
Mr. Moile Shore, AAC presidential candidate, will go to court tomorrow. The Abuja division of the Federal High Court fixed tomorrow, August 8th, to rule on an application by the Department of State Services, DSS, seeking an order to detain Mr. Shore for 90 days pending the conclusion of its investigation. Mr. Shore, who was also the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the February 2019 elections, was arrested on Saturday and moved to Abuja by the DSS. The ex-parte motion filed by the secret police is seeking the order of the court to detain Mr. Shore beyond the 48 hours of his arrest required by law. But after listening to the motion, Justice Taiwo said that he needed time to watch the video clips attached to the motion and accordingly adjourned ruling to Thursday, August the 8th. So Mr. Shore's lawyer, senior advocate of Nigerian rights activist, Mr. Femi Falana, his death, the Nigerian secret police, the DSS, to charge his client to court. Well, we know that that has already happened. But Mr. Falana has given a hint on one of the witnesses he would call should that incident present itself.
I do hope that the government will not charge him. The government will not be stupid to charge Shore. You know what? He has briefed me. And no, I'm telling you, in fairness to this, when he told them yesterday, I won't make a statement unless I've spoken to my lawyer. And they say, who is your lawyer? In fairness to them, they asked him to phone me, and they gave me a phone. Of course, I knew they were monitoring the phone. And I told him, I hope they won't charge you. But if they do, some of the people in government will be our witnesses. You know why? Oh, you know what? One of them, I won't mention his name, in 2011, asked Nigerians to learn from the Egyptian revolution and be ready for revolution. So it will be my first witness.
Saying with the Revolution Now protest, the Lagos State Criminal Intelligence and Information Department has arraigned 6 persons who allegedly took part in Monday's protest convened by the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Moile Shore. The 6 protesters were arraigned before an equity magistrates court in Lagos on 2 counts of unlawful assembly and conduct likely to cause breach of peace. One of the 6 protesters is a 51-year-old lawyer, Gabriel Ojuma. After filing a bail application, the chief magistrate admitted Mr. Ojuma to bail on self-recognizance and the other 5 defendants 100,000 naira bail each, 2 shorties in like sum. For the proceedings have been adjourned to September the 26th. Let's get a sense of what all these court cases could mean for rights to protest and also issues of treason. I have a legal practitioner joining me here in the studio to dissect the matter. Mr. Songi, I would like to thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Let's first start. The DSS seeking the court order to still keep Shore, Mr. Moile Shore, for 90 days. Is that constitutional?
To the best of my knowledge, it isn't. For the simple reason that the Constitution makes it very clear that fine, you can detain someone, but not more than 24 hours. After 24 hours, you're obliged to either charge the person to court or to release the person. So there is nothing like going to court, because what it means is that you're asking the court to subvert the Constitution.
Constitution, and I'm sure that will never see the light of day.
But they're also saying so that they can conclude their investigation.
Yeah, there are precedents. If you're not ready, there's no reason to. You can always ask the person to come through the means of the invitation. It doesn't mean that you keep somebody there indefinitely under the guise of conducting investigations against the same constitution that you are trying to protect.
We also know that there have been several others, 6 others who have been granted bail and another date they've been arraigned. But the question has been asked, it's a democratic society, why does it appear that the government is being, what's the word now, when it comes to civil rights, civil liabilities, liberty, civil actions, peaceful assembly, they're taking a very strong stance against protests. Is that a feeling that you get when you look at the decisions of the federal government and even some state governors?
Well, I think to answer that quickly, there are two issues involved. Now, first of all, the courts have said you don't need any permission or permit from the police in order to stage their peaceful demonstrations. It's allowed in the Constitution. But the challenge with this particular one, when you look at the use of the word revolution, how do you describe what a revolution is? Now, where if you go to the casual dictionary, you see something like a great upheaval or a radical change in government. It's different from a radical change in governance. Now, when you are calling for a revolution, there's a constitution in place, no matter how perfect. It says this constitution is supreme. No person or body of persons shall govern the federation unless in accordance with provisions of the constitution. So it's like trying to do something good in a bad way. The simple thing I felt the conveners could have done is just something like maybe a wake-up movement or a wake-up call movement. Give a different name. But the moment you've used that attack, revolution, it's like you're playing into the hands of the government.
Some people feel that that word does not connote treasonable felony.
Yeah, that's why I said, looking at it, and when the average understanding of a revolution means a total overhauling. Like I explained to you, if you check the dictionary, for instance, when they say, oh, a radical change in government, go and look at the meaning of the word radical again. It means something constituting another. That means you are trying to say this way of doing business, we have to jettison it. This is it. But meanwhile, there's a constitution in place. So I felt what they could have done is like, okay, we want to hold this government to account. You can call it a wake-up call movement. You allow, you do your demonstration, and everything is fine. But not saying you are staging a revolution while the democratically elected government is in place. No matter how good or bad that government is, don't forget that at least for now, we presume that government was voted in until the outcome of the cases at the tribunal and the Supreme Court.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's take you to another story that we are following. Some of the protest we hear is about governance issues. What you can see there, it appears that the protest is not limited to the shores of the country. Outside the country now, a group of Nigerians under the umbrella, the hashtag Take It Back, they staged a protest outside the High Commission in Pretoria, South Africa's capital. They're demanding, among other things, a better governed Nigeria, better security safety for Nigerians living in South Africa, and the release of those being detained in Nigeria for protesting against government policies. The protesters were received by the High Commissioner, Ambassador Kabir Bala, who encouraged them to be law-abiding at all times. Let's now turn our attention to electoral matters. The 6th Biennial General Assembly of the ECOWAS network of electoral bodies will end today, with member countries holding the final deliberations. ECOWAS network of electoral commissions, they're having a plenary right now at the Transcorp Hilton Abuja, headed by its chairman, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. The agenda is to review how to reduce the cost of elections, improve the inclusion in the electoral process, and also ensure that the media does better reporting during elections. Let's get more insight on the outcome of the deliberation at the conference. We have our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, who is covering that for us. Kayla, pray tell, what else are participants going to be taking home today, especially the policies on elections conduct?
Millicent. Okay, so like you said earlier, this is the final day of the ECONEC meeting. It's basically a meeting of the electoral commissioners in 15 countries in ECOWAS. And, you know, all but one country is present at this particular meeting today. And like you said earlier, they're basically going to be taking a look at how to improve inclusivity and also how to reduce the high cost of running elections in the sub-region. There's also going to be an election of the steering committee for ECONEC, which is going to be running their affairs for the next 2 years. They're going to be looking at the finances of the organization and what they've done with the monies that they've collected. Remember, every member country of ECONEC pays $5,000 every year. And then, of course, they're going to be looking at some of the activities that they've organized for the past 2 years and what successes they've recorded in that particular regard. Also, the way the media reports election matters, and of course, inclusivity, which is a big issue in the sub-region. So those are some of the things that they're going to be looking at right now, Millicent.
And finally, just briefly, tell us, we know that the cost of the election was definitely another issue that was talked about, that was discussed. What were the practical alternative ways, briefly now, to addressing that?
Absolutely, Millicent. That has been a very contentious issue, especially in the ECOWAS sub-region, the high cost of running elections in the region. And one of the things that has been done so far is that they basically divided the ECOWAS sub-region into 3 linguistic blocks. So we're talking about the Anglophone, the Francophone, and the Lusophone blocks. And they picked 2 countries from each of the blocks. So from the Anglophone block, they picked Nigeria and Liberia. From the Francophone, they picked Sierra Leone and Benin Republic. And of course, from the Lusophone, we got Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde. And that report is going to be presented today. They're still in a closed-door session right now. So the report on what they can do, what challenges are faced when it comes to the high cost of running elections in those countries, that report has been released, but it's been deliberated upon right now. And they're telling us that immediately after the deliberations, about 2 p.m., they said, they'll be giving us what actual policies ECONEC will be coming up with to help reduce the cost of elections in the sub-region. And of course, the cooperation from each of the countries to help when it comes to logistics and whatnot to ensure that elections are free and fair in the sub-region. But the high cost of running elections, actual policies that should be put in place, they said they'll be talking to us about that at about 2 p.m. right here at the Transcorp Hilton, Millicent.
So much, Kayla McGrath, with the latest there. Elsewhere, former military president General Ibrahim Babangida says the leadership in the country must remain resilient and determined in the face of divergent opinions about what is happening in the country. General Babangida describes Nigeria as a difficult and complex country where many opinions exist. He was speaking at his hilltop home in Minna, where he played host to the minority leader of the House of Representatives and some members of the minority in the House of Representatives.
The country is complex, is difficult, but from experiences, I used to say that for every opinion in Nigeria, you have as many opinions as there are number of people in the country. So that's what Nigeria is a very vibrant society. For everything you do, somebody is there to say, no, you are right, or yes, you are wrong, you know, that sort of thing. But what is important is the determination. To remain very resilient in everything you do for the benefit of this country.
And the People's Democratic Party can only be victorious in the forthcoming governorship election in Bayelsa State if the party is strongly unites themselves, shunning bitterness during the campaign and also the election. These were the words of the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, at the PDP Elders Advisory Council meeting at the Government House, Yenagoa. Dr. Jonathan, who pointed out that his duty was to serve as an advisor as he was gradually stepping aside from active politics, added that he was delighted that there haven't been no news of rancor within the aspirants.
For us to secure this state for PDP, we need maximum unity. And that's why all the 21 aspirants are important to us. And we must have that maximum unity. And we must not preach any form of division or discrimination. At the end of the day, one person will emerge, and all of us will call all of us, and all of us will work for whoever emerges as the candidate of the party.
Well, let's bring you back to Lagos. The Federal High Court in Lagos, they've ordered the freezing of 3 bank accounts which allegedly linked to the Lagos state government. Now, Justice Chuka Obiozo made the order following an ex parte application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over an alleged 9.9 billion naira fraud. The EFCC asked the judge to freeze the account pending the conclusion of investigation and possible prosecution of the permanent secretary in the office of the Chief of Staff to former Governor Akumi Ambode, Mr. Adewale Adesina. The EFCC says it discovered that the said account was opened in September the 17th, 2018, during the administration of former Governor Akumi Ambode and operated by Mr. Adesina. The EFCC says the schedule of the bank account showed how Mr. Adesina and the other signatories to the account made fraudulent transfers from the accounts of the Lagos state government and dissipated the funds housed in the said accounts. Justice Obiozo has since granted the application and adjourned hearing till September the 9th. Well, let's take us back to the outcome of yesterday's ECONEC deliberations, which led to the commitment by the federal government in making a case for the proper inclusion of persons living with disabilities and internally displaced persons in the electoral process. And this is across the West African sub-region. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari is also asking the body to make efforts and consolidate democracy in the region. His thoughts were echoed where the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, represented him at the 6th Biennial General Assembly of the ECOWAS Network in Abuja.
Before the last general election in Nigeria, I assented to a constitutional amendment bill that reduced the age required of a candidate to contest for some elective offices. We should continue to ensure that not only the youth, but other categories of citizens, such as persons living with disabilities and those internally displaced, for a variety of reasons, are integrated into the electoral process in Nigeria in particular, and other countries in our sub-region in general.